Going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Psyched to be back here. It's been a while since we did a show. Took April off really to just kind of recharge and get the batteries all back in action. And, I was getting a little wondering about the show and trying to see like what I could show and like what I would want to show you guys. Didn't have too much to talk about that I wasn't already talking about in the newsletter, but I have a bunch of topics to talk about today. We're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff. The first thing we're going to talk about, the last thing we're going to talk about later on is Guitar Pro 8 is here, and it is awesome. It is really, really cool. It's a lot of great updates to Guitar Pro 7. A lot of gripes that people had with Guitar Pro 7 are now fixed in Guitar Pro 8. So we're going to be going over that. While not exactly guitar related, I'm going to be sharing with you an app that is coming out soon by one of my favorite developers. Makes a lot of great apps that I use day in and day out, called MusicBox, which is really, really cool for organizing your music. So I think that's going to be cool for any music fan in general that you might want to check it out. You kind of get like a sneak peek if you're not on the beta. We're going to talk quickly about a new book from Fundamental Changes. You know, I've always been talking about Fundamental Changes books here in the Discord, on the newsletter, about how much I love them. I think I have probably 10 of their books at this point. There's a new book coming out from Oz Noy that we're going to talk about. We're also going to talk about why I'm angry at Guitar World right now. Making a newsletter each and every week. I go through a lot of videos. I go through a lot of articles, guitar articles. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we're going to shed light on their list that they just came out with of the 50 top rhythm guitarists of all time. See what you guys think about that. We're also going to talk about the Randy Rhoads documentary, which I just watched last night, which was pretty cool. I have my gripes about that as well. We'll talk about that. But first, the first thing that we're going to talk about is Mateus Asado returning to Instagram. Like, you might not think it's a big deal, but I think it's kind of cool. And it kind of got kicked off by him visiting Rick Beato in the studio and, kind of doing an interview with him. So if you take a look here, this is Mateus on Instagram, back on Instagram. He kind of shuttered his social media accounts for a little while, but now he's back. And he went on the Rick Beato show to talk about his return to Instagram. At the top of the video, it's kind of cool because they show John Mayer at some event. I can't remember if it was NAMM or something else, but talking about how Mateus's stage is really Instagram, whereas John's stage is really the world, playing live. And Mateus plays live too, plays with a lot of different artists, but he is so huge on Instagram that, it's kind of cool to see him back. The interview is really nice because it shows a cool relationship between Beato and Mateus, and it looks like Beato really kind of guided him along when he was out of the scene, out of the social media scene, and so it's really, really cool. The funniest thing, I mean, not only is his playing insane, like I don't know anyone else that really plays like him. The melodic ways that he plays, like I just don't understand how he can play that well. I've tried some of his courses on JTC guitar, and they're really, really good. It makes you feel good when you can play some of that stuff. But it's just some of that stuff is wild. The amount of fretboard knowledge he seems to have is just on another plane from other guitar players. But go check this interview out. He plays a lot on the interview too, and the crazy thing, other than the stuff with Mayer and how much how great his playing is that he said he seems super humble, and he's like even on there he's like, I'm really nervous, and it's like, wow, for a guy like this who's at like such another level of of playing, to be nervous to be on Rick Beato's show, it's kind of crazy. So go check that out. That is streaming on Rick's YouTube channel. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. There he is. He's actually playing, I think that's Rick's signature guitar too. So very, very, very cool. Up next, we also got, like I said, Fundamental Changes is releasing a new book from Oz Noy called Melodic Cells for Jazz Guitar. Now, These type of books, I actually have one behind me for his book Inside Outside Soloing. Was really really good. I couldn't really believe when they got Osnoy or guys like Mike Stern to do their books, because I've been having a lot of their books from like Levi Clay, who's a fantastic guitar player, Chris Brooks, a lot of these guys. And when they got like real big name brands like an Osnoy or Mike Stern, I was like, man, this is incredible. So I really liked his last book, Inside Outside Soloing. It's really good. I'm looking to get this one next. It's called Melodic Cells for Jazz Guitar. And the thing about this one is that it's all about playing over the changes. And, there's like a three step program here. So about phrasing, about melodic freedom, and then maybe, I would imagine that this is similar to his first book, where you have these altered scales that you can mess with, like the whole tone scale, the diminished scale, and so on. But the cool thing is about taking it into like these bite-sized chunks. And I think that's kind of cool, And I'm excited to get this book, because this is not only just for jazz stuff, but also for phrasing in general and hitting chord tones in general, which, like, if you've watched any of my live streams or read any of the newsletters that I do, I'm always working on that. That's why I'm working on arpeggios so much and all that stuff, because I think that's the most effective thing when you want to play over chord changes. I think it's great to hang out in a pentatonic box shapes, but as I develop and I want more from the guitar, I'm always looking to try and play for the song and for the chord changes themselves. I'm not like at a jazz level standard yet, where I'm playing over every single change and moving around, but I am trying to analyze what chords I'm playing. Am I doing a 1-4-5? What notes are common? What notes are the most impactful? Am I hitting the 3? Am I hitting the 5 of the chord? And so on. So go check out Fundamental Changes books. They're really, really good. Usually they're about $20 each for the paper book, the paperback version, and $10 on Kindle, which you could use if you have something like an iPad or a tablet. Actually, let me show you some of their stuff. Not only are their books really good, but if you go to their website, they have a ton of lessons. So this is from Chris Brooks. Again, I have a lot of his books at this point. This is particularly talking about sweep picking. You could see the videos attached to it, what type of rest stroke you should be doing. And these are like little takes, as far as I'm concerned, it looks like these are little takes from their actual books. So if you're looking to get an idea of how good these books are, just go over to Fundamental Changes website. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I think I'm going to reach out to them, because maybe I can develop some type of partnership with them. But yeah, it's really good stuff. Depending on what you're looking to get into, you got blues guitar stuff, country guitar stuff. I have the entire blues tome of stuff. I have Levi Clay's entire entire country book. There's stuff for indie rock. There's stuff for rockabilly. There's stuff for slide guitar. Go check them out. One of the best deals that you can get right now, for sure. All right, so that's just a couple cool things I've been checking out. Happy that Mateus is back. Happy to see that there's new books coming out from Fundamental Changes. I am getting too many. I feel like at this point I have so many to catch up on, but I kind of like picking and choosing from all of them and messing around. The next thing I wanted to talk about is this Randy Rhoads. Let me see if I could pull it up here. The new Randy Rhoads documentary. It just came out the other day, and I was able to pick it up and watch it last night. It's not streaming anywhere right now. Right now, it's just on iTunes. You can rent it for about $5. You could buy it for $10. I thought I would buy it just to support the filmmaker and everything, and check it out. So yeah, here's a little photo from the documentary itself. And this is some of the video. I'm not going to play it here because there is some copyright music. But yeah, just my overall thoughts of the documentary. I think unless you're a huge Randy Rhoads fan, I would probably rent this one and rather than buy it. It was good to watch once. I don't know that I'll be going back and checking it out again a second time. There are some cool things about it, though. I'm going to tell you my things I liked and things I didn't like. So it's narrated by Tracy Guns, which is really cool. I think he does a good job of narrating it for the most part. There's a lot of cool narration there. One of the things I didn't like as much is that there was a heavy focus on Quiet Riot. More than I wished to see. And sometimes, hey, Vince, what's going on, man? Just saw Vince in the chat. Hey, Vince, actually, you know what? Not only to talk about Randy Rhoads, but hey, man, I was in that chat with you the other day, and I saw you in with some heavy hitters, man. Woo. Johnny Highland and all sorts of guys. That was super, super cool, man. But yeah, you got to check out this Randy Rhoads documentary, even if it's just to rent it. It's about an hour and a half. It's narrated by Tracy Guns. And what I wanted was more Ozzy material, and there was so much Quiet Riot material. Like, it almost felt like a behind the scenes of Quiet Riot. One of the cool parts as a guitar player was seeing his tech talking about how he would mess with his Echoplex during Randy's solo. That was really, really cool. Here we go. We got Mr. Malheim in the chat saying, yeah, pretty sure they focus on Quiet Riot because the Wicked Witch would have sued the hell out of them for copyright. Yeah, I mean, I don't, I know you said that, and then I kind of maybe watched it through that lens. As as I was watching it last night. So yeah, it's cool to see his tech talking about the Echoplex he was kind of talking about when it was Randy's solo. The Eddie Van Halen clip, which everyone kind of been talking about on the internet, was a little weird. And I think, as much as I love Eddie's playing, I think it was a very weird take that, he said that he learned everything that he knew from me, and that's why Randy was being honest. Eddie's had some weird takes over the years. Some of the things that he said about his listening to music habits and everything has been strange to me. But I've been trying with a lot of these guys to separate the musician from the person, right? So yeah, that's what I think about the Eddie Van Halen part. I timed it because of what others had said. There was 36 minutes left when they kicked into the Ozzy part. It was cool to see some of the guitar players talk about his influence, but the documentary just kind of felt like an hour and a half of Randy's the best. Everyone knew Randy would be the best. Here's the story about his plane crash, and then it was kind of over. Like I said, it's not a bad documentary. There's a lot of photos. I wish there was more video of Randy throughout the documentary, because that's what I would like. I wish Pete Thorne came out with a new video talking about a Randy Rhoads 3 prototype. Even stuff like that. I wish they went more in depth on his gear and what made him such a great guitar player. I mean, everyone knows he's a great guitar player, but show us more of that. Give us more video of Randy if you could. So that's it. I mean, I'm probably dogging it a little bit too much. If you're a fan of Quiet Riot, if you're a fan of Randy Rhoads, it's definitely worth $5 to at least rent it and check it out. But yeah, I like to know your comments. Hit me up in the comments here, or if you're live here, let me know. But yeah, so that's the Randy Rhoads documentary. Let's get into this app that I wanted to talk to you about. So we still got a couple different things to talk about. We're still going to talk about Rhythm Guitarist. We're still going to talk about Guitar Pro 8, so stick around. But the next thing that I wanted to share with you guys was actually MusicBox. Now, like I said, this is not 100% guitar related, of course, but I just thought it was so cool, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. Just so you have an idea of Marcos's apps. So the developer is Marcos Tanaka, and this is his new app, MusicBox. It is not released right now. This is a beta version. So I just wanted to show you a couple of cool things that you could do with it. So if you're not familiar with Marcos, he has, I think, let me think about it. He has Play out right now, which is a YouTube Watch Later app, which is great. I use it every day. It's actually how I get all my links together to put into the weekly newsletter. He has Music Harbor, which is fantastic. You could add your whole Apple Music library to it, and it scans for artists each time you open it and tells you the new releases that you have out there. You can kind of sort by tags, similar to this. You could sort by tags, whether it's a single, whether it's an EP, and a full album. There's a ton of shortcuts support. There's all sorts of great stuff. He also makes Music Smart, which is one of my favorite things in this digital age where not a lot of you can't get a lot of credits for your albums. Music Smart is kind of one of those share sheet extension type of apps where you can be listening to an album, share it to Music Smart, and get the full credits for the app, and sometimes a little bit of editorial for the app as well. So that's really great. So this is MusicBox. And this is kind of like Play in regards to the interface. It looks very similar to the interface of Play. And what it does is allows you to, from the share sheet, kind of add to MusicBox and then add a tag. So I'm still getting started with it. Like I said, I've been beta testing it. I know it's coming out pretty soon. From what he said, it should be out towards the end of May. But what I like to do is... a lot of times when it's New Music Friday, I'm adding albums and they kind of just get lost. They're not, they get lost in the sea of albums that I add because I want to listen to so much new stuff. But I feel like this is going to allow me to try to, hopefully it's not a secondary bucket of where I put albums, but it's going to hopefully allow me to listen to more albums. So right now I'm doing 5 different tags. I was still working on my favorites. I have so many different favorite albums that this is hard for me. So I'm kind of only using these 4 for right now. But as you can see here, they all have, this is all the tags at once. They all have a bunch of different tags. So if we go to something like To Play, these are a couple of recent albums that just came out. Stuff from like The Regrets, John Scofield, Arcade Fire. And the cool thing about it is it has a ton of metadata, which as a data nerd, I kind of geek out about. So when you look at Arcade Fire here, the new album, it shows when I added it and when the album was released. How many tracks does it have? All sorts of crazy metadata here. And then the tag for it is To Play. So this is an album I haven't listened to yet and is kind of new. Or it might have been an album that came out over the last couple of months that I just haven't gotten to yet. And this is the whole purpose for me of using this app. Now, similar to Play, his YouTube app, you can just kind of click play up here and it'll bring it up in the music app. Or you can also use this with Spotify, but right now I'm using it with Apple Music. I also have a tag for Rediscover, where there's albums like this one from Lettuce or this one from Soul Live that I want to kind of get back to. Some of the albums I like from Thank You Scientist. I actually have the tab book for this. It's haunting me. But yeah, this is kind of the gist of it. This one I have. This is the only one I have recommended so far. Actually, comes recommended from one of the guys in our Discord, Simon Alloway. This is a song from Simon McBride called "The Fighter," and what you can do is add notes to it. So, like Simon Alloway, I have his name here that he recommended to me, and if I like it, I can go back and say, "Hey, Simon, that's awesome that you recommended this to me." These are a couple different things that I have in high rotation lately. So this album from Trip the Witch, which is Dean DeLeo and Tom Bukovac, amazing. The album from Wet Leg, the album from Third Secret, which is kind of like a post-Nirvana sort of thing. Cold Years from Goodbye to Misery, and this album from Hatchie, which is like all sorts of cool pop going on. But yeah, that's kind of it. Go check it out when it comes out. It'll probably only be a couple bucks, and between this and Play and Music Harbor and Music Smart, Marcos is just coming out with some killer apps. I mean, they're all good. They're all a couple bucks. They work really well, and Anytime I've asked him for some type of feature request, either he's considered it, it seems, or he's actually put it into the app in like the next point release. So one of the coolest guys out there who's making apps today. Go check it out and let me know what you guys are using too. How do you how do you manage your music collection right now? Like, how do you get back to it and make sure that you listen to everything, right? I know that's kind of crazy, but yeah, go check out that app. I think it's fantastic. Marcos is a great developer, and I'm excited to see what he does next year, or maybe even this year. Who knows? He's up to 4 apps, right? So, all right. So the next thing I wanted to show you guys was from Guitar World. Let's see if we can switch back over. So it's all about the 50 best rhythm guitarists of all time. There's a lot of cool names on this list. Of course, you got guys like Mustaine. I jumped to the top 10 right away. You guys got. Whoa, man. You have guys like Mustaine. You have guys like Jimmy Page and Hetfield, of course, makes the top 5. And then you got number 1, who's Malcolm Young. I can't really disagree with that. And while I'm not a huge lists guy, I feel like it's just an easy way to kind of get a couple page views here, especially with 5 pages worth of list. I think it's kind of cool to like kind of go back to page 1 and see other people that you might not be so familiar with. Like Bones UK, I know of the band, but I'm not really familiar with Carmen. Bob Marley, that's great. John Lee Hooker, Joan Jett, Billy Joe here at 46. Some of the names that I liked, let me see if I can get to them, but some of the names that I liked were guys that maybe don't get mentioned as much, like a Corey Wong, who's like getting more notoriety now. Nile Rodgers, of course, a classic. So not like, not just like a Mustaine and Hetfield who are topping that list, top 10, but like Corey Wong, The Edge, Tom Morello was on there, Dimebag Darrell, Andy Summers, Chris Cornell. These are all some of my favorite guitar players of all time for different reasons. And I like going back to these sort of lists. I never worry about the numbering system here because I feel like it's nonsense. Although I do kind of agree with a lot of the top 10. But I just like going back and looking at players that I might have forgot about over the last bunch of years. And I think that's why I am getting into that MusicBox app, because I like to check it out. I like to get back to music and rediscover old albums and so on. So tell me what you think about this list, about the 50 best rhythm guitarists. I would like to know in the comments, if you're watching this video, who is your favorite rhythm guitarist of all time, and who is your favorite lead guitarist of all time? We'd love to see if the comments are sort of similar. But now I have to talk to you about, one more thing on this. It's so cool that we're so lucky that if you take a look at this list and we have all these 50 guitar players, like, wow, like these guys are phenomenal. And like just these 50 guitar players alone, you got to imagine that a lot of these have a lead guitar player in the band sometimes, especially with Chris Cornell here and so on. We're so lucky to have this much great music. And these are just 50 guitar players, right? In the in this list alone. And there's so many more. So I don't know. It just makes me psyched to see some of that. What does not make me psyched to see is that, number one, I talk about this all the time. There's so much garbage going on the Guitar World site. I'm not a huge fan of like when they got sold to Future. I mean, there is a lot of brands under the same house. You got Guitar World, Guitar Player, Guitarist, Total Guitar. There's all sorts of brands under the same kind of thing. They always got these like enormous full page ads that kind of go in the back. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Maybe it's my bad for not having an ad blocker, but you have advertisements that really don't make sense, that are kind of plastered all the way around their site. It's kind of obnoxious, That's just that. Then you got these other really weirdo ones that you see on websites that, I don't know. It's wacky, right? It's not a good look. It's funny when the whole content is like right in this little section of the whole website. So I'm not a big fan about that. But what I'm really not a big fan about is that you can't see it here, but it's happening on my M1 MacBook right now, is that Guitar World, I think, is messing with a subscription system, paywall system for their website. They kicked me out at about 5 articles the other day, and that was frustrating because I subscribed to their magazine through an Apple One subscription. I'm using it digitally there. I kind of like don't want to have all the paper magazines anymore. They take up so much space, and while I love a physical book, it's just been a little bit too much for me. So that's frustrating. And I think it was about $3.99 a month, or like $40, somewhere around that, like $30 to $40 a year, to have access in like a New York Times style paywall way to read all their articles. And I don't know what else that gets you. Now, I can't show you on the website here because it's not coming up, but I can assure you it's come up on my computer and even my phone a couple times. And I feel like it's just frustrating. I don't like what they're doing over there, and we'll see how that goes. You know, maybe it's an experiment that they're trying to get some more revenue. I know that these magazines are kind of going away probably, you know, at least in paper form. And, you know, they're thinking of new ways to make revenue. But, geez, it's just not a good look. Vince is saying Malcolm Young is his favorite rhythm guitar player. Well, all right. I think I have a couple ideas, Vince, of who might be your favorite lead guitar player. I don't want to say it's Steve Vai, but maybe it's Steve Vai, and maybe not. Maybe it's Satch, maybe it's somebody else. But let me know that too. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you're getting into. So that's it. I've been doing a lot of talking. I'm going to take a little coffee here, and then we're going to get into the final topic of today, talking about Guitar Pro 8 and why it is so awesome. In the meantime, let's go over to this page right here. So we'll talk about this in a sec. So Guitar Pro 8, I've been recommending it to my students. I've been recommending to everyone who will listen to me for a long time. It's $70 right now for Windows and Mac. And if you have Guitar Pro 7, which a lot of my friends and my students do, until July 31st, it is on a discount for $24.50 US, which I think is a fantastic upgrade price. This app is amazing. I'm going to show you why it's amazing in a second. I don't often, tell you guys to use my link, but I will say, go over to my website here at chasingsound.com, and if you haven't, this is like I have to update this a little bit because I'm using a little bit different stuff. I've changed from an AX8 to an FM3, and I'm kind of using, I'm still using Red Bear picks, but I'm using Jazz 3 XLs as kind of like my daily driver. But head down here, we're getting the new Guitar Pro 8 banners, but click check it out, or even if you just go to chasingsound.com, if you go to chasingsound.com here, it will be on the sidebar. I'll put it in the chat. And an upgrade. It's a really good upgrade. I've had a nice relationship with the people at Guitar Pro, not just with Guitar Pro, but for their other apps for a really, really long time. And this Guitar Pro 8 is a huge upgrade to what they did. Not being paid to say that. Again, I do have an affiliate link. Will get me a couple bucks if you buy Guitar Pro 8 and I guess the upgrade. But it's a huge upgrade. Guitar Pro 7 had its issues, but Guitar Pro 8 has fixed them, and they've added some really cool things. The first and foremost thing that is awesome is right here at the top in Guitar Pro 8 on their What's New page, and it's to add an audio file to your scores. So, as you might know with a program like Guitar Pro, you're listening to like these kind of like MIDI sound banks, and those have got an upgrade too. We'll talk about that in a second. But right now, you can add an audio file into your Guitar Pro tablature. And not only that, you can sync it up with the tablature perfectly so that every beat hits properly according to your tab. Thanks, Vince. I really appreciate that, man, about using the link. That's very cool. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend it or even dedicate this amount of time to it if I didn't think it was awesome. But yeah, you can put an audio file in there now. I think this is going to be really cool for artists that are, selling their stuff and want to use the real audio inside of Guitar Pro, because there's a lot of people that sell their tabs right now. And even here it says you can insert an audio file containing a recording of your teaching instructions, which is very cool. The whole reason I got into Guitar Pro 8 as it is because of this guy, Levi Clay. Here is his YouTube channel. Go subscribe to him. Here's his overview video, which is kind of something similar to what we're doing right now. But he also is making videos of some of the features. He's kind of like going in depth on some of the features. I'm part of his weekly practice schedule Patreon, and it's fantastic. And I use the Guitar profiles that he provides with that, and I'm excited to see what he does with it. One of the best transcribers out there, hands down. Transcribed some of my favorite players too. He was just talking about how he was doing the work for Ariel Posen, one of my favorite slide guitar players. So excited to see what he does with Guitar Pro 8. But this is one of the biggest features that they add is being able to add an audio file to your scores. And it's awesome. Yeah, Vince, as a full-time teacher, this is really powerful, man. And there's other cool things too, So for even our practice stuff, right? So this is all around practice. You can focus and unfocus a track. I mean, the real thing behind that is you can kind of individually mute or solo a track. You can raise the volume or lower the volume, which is really helpful if you want to kind of zero in on a part, especially if there's a couple guitar parts on the same track. This has you can work with a visual metronome. So let me play this here. So if you turn the metronome on, there's actually a visual metronome, so you can kind of get in beat with with the tempo before you kick into the song, and you can see it's up here. Version of Back in Black. But yeah, you got the visual metronome there. You can change the relative speed. So this is slowing it down or speeding it up. Now this is not like Transcribe. I mean, it's similar to Transcribe, which is another thing I use. And that was one of my asks. And I know Levi Clay has said something similar, where he would like video to be able to be imported here as well. That's another app that I learned from Levi a couple years ago, is that Transcribe, where you can put a video from YouTube in there and slow it down and not change the tempo, and it works really, really well. I use it all the time for like tough licks that I really want to get to. And no, yeah, this is Vince says, doesn't mean I can drag in a file of me playing it will transcribe it. No, but I think there actually is. I got to check with them. I haven't done this, but I think there is a way to use an interface where it might do that. So let me get back to you on that. It might be true. Also, say, yeah, I grabbed the songbook for 6 months as it was half off with the upgrade. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, because there's actually a couple upgrades to my songbook, which they do a really good job. Yeah, so Transcribe does do video. I started using Transcribe with some of the riffs from the guy Thomas McRocklin, who had played with Vi growing up and everything. And some of his stuff is just really difficult, and I couldn't get it at 100% speed. So I would download the video, I would import it into Transcribe, and I would slow it down to like 60%. And I would try to get it as clean as I could in 60% and kind of keep bumping it up to like 80, 85, 90, and then finally to 100. And it felt so good to finally get it up to 100. So Guitar Pro can do that too. It's just not with video right now. So it's one of my asks for them, and I hope they will come out with it down the line. This is something cool which you couldn't do really as much before, is that they have a virtual effect chain. So you might be familiar with some of the pedals on here, or what they're kind of trying to emulate. But the cool thing about this is that the tones are kind of still MIDI-esque. They sound MIDI-wise, but you can add a compressor, you can add an amp simulation, an EQ, a tube screamer, and so on, a delay, to really get like a better sound for these, and especially if you're going to be sharing this with somebody else. I think that's really important. And it's just a nice way to overall fix the sound of your instruments. One of my favorite things right here is you can finally mix the drum set. So one of the biggest things here that was an issue was that if you wanted to mix the drum set prior, you would have to put each track on a separate track. Now you can have the drums just on one track, kind of like how you have in a DAW, and you can mix the individual instruments right from the one stereo track rather than having to split it out. And you can listen to the sound banks ahead of playing your tabs. So if you're demoing a song and you want to hear what some of the sound banks sound like, you can kind of just hover over them and you'll hear what it sounds like with that sound bank in real time. So very, very cool stuff with the sound banks. For people that are doing this and trying to, doing this as a living, you can customize your tabs really easily. This is the most customization from Guitar Pro that I've ever seen. So not only can you drag each and every beat to be exactly where you want it, if you really want everything to be exactly where you want it in the bar, you can. And there's a couple different style sheet options where you can even change fonts of some of the words. This is kind of like a jazzier font. But you can change fonts of that. You can change fonts of symbols to get it exactly how you like it. So if you want your scores to look good, they can. All right. For the guys in the chat, this is one of my favorite things of the entire upgrade. So I use another app called Neck Diagrams. It's another thing that I talk about all the time. And while this is not Neck Diagrams, this is really good that it's finally in Guitar Pro. You can include scale diagrams in your transcriptions finally. So right here, you can see that there's a transcription of the A minor blues scale, and they show the root, they show all other notes, they show the blues note and everything. It's really cool, and I'm really excited to start including these, especially with maybe some of my lessons that require some scale shapes to go along with some of the riffs, to say, hey, this is the scale shape that I'm taking the riff from. If you don't know the scale, here it is. It's an easy way. Just drop it right in. So that's fantastic. There's also stuff that I'm not using as much. This stuff like for nested tuplets, for piano fingering. I'm not doing that right now, so we'll kind of skip over that. For folks that like to kind of like move along in their transcription a little bit better, there is a awesome command palette. This kind of reminds me of stuff I'm doing in Obsidian, where you can have like a lot of commands to add different things, add different beats, add different notes at a glance. If you use something a lot and you want to set a keyboard shortcut for it, the command palette is where it's at. I'm going to be using that a lot coming up, because I always feel like I'm poking around the interface trying to add my my notes. It's not helpful. So that's going to be great. And then one of the final things that we just mentioned is the My Songbook stuff. So if you never checked out My Songbook, go check it out. It's their collection. Now that you're able to import audio, they have a lot of different audio tracks, but My Songbook allows you to get some classic tracks, and it'd be like the full band. So right here, they're showing a lot of AC/DC stuff, a perfect circle. In Guitar Pro 8, now you can apply up to 3 filters to really see what you're, try to find the song that you're looking for. Guitar Pro, you can either do it, My Songbook, you can either do it by subscription, you can do it by credits. It's a great service, and I feel like if you want some good examples of what great tab looks like, check out some of these songs and download them. And not only are there going to be good tabs that you can learn the song from, but you can learn how to transcribe a little bit from looking at some of these tabs. And then there's just like a bunch of other stuff down here. One of the coolest things is that I have a M1 MacBook Pro, and it's optimized for Apple Silicon, so that's cool. That's great. It's going to be performing great on there. You can transpose chords. You can enjoy the quality sound banks. I think they actually sound not too bad on some of the stuff. An optimized interface. Yeah, let's go back up to the top here. I just think it looks really, really good. Nice, dark interface here. All the stuff that you could possibly need is right in the interface. You got your mixer, you got the ability to add tracks in. It's not showing it here, but it's this. You have the sidebar. Let me actually share with you guys my copy of Guitar Pro. So this is a song called Keystone. That's an example. But yeah, you have everything here. It's kind of a little bit hard to see on my screen share, but you have all the stuff that you could possibly need in terms of notation ever. And finally, similar to Fundamental Changes, they have a lot of really great lessons on their site. So this is one called 21 Pentatonic Licks, where you can download it right to Guitar Pro and play along and check out the guitar along with it so you can hear how it sounds. So if you go to, let me go back to Safari here. If you go to Guitar Pro's website, they have a ton of different lessons and a bunch of different Guitar Pro files that you can throw into the program. And even if you don't want to, there's a lot of tab right on their website. So like I said, the benefit of the Guitar Pro part of it is being able to hear how it sounds. Maybe you're not familiar with, 16th notes and notes that are tied together, and you want to kind of get a good feel from it. I guess what I'm trying to say is that between Fundamental Changes and Guitar Pro alone, there is so much content out there for you to learn from that we are living in a really good world for guitar players right now. So that's it. MusicBox, Guitar Pro. There's so much good stuff out there right now that it's a cool time to be a musician. And that's it. I'm happy to be back. Like I said, we took April off for a little while. I will be back in 2 weeks. Check out the newsletter. Just go to chasingsound.com, sign up for Six String Sunday. It's a newsletter that comes out every single Sunday for the last couple years that I'm really proud about. It kind of combines my stuff that I'm putting out, my lessons and videos, and it combines the best stuff that I found in the guitar world over the last week or so. So go check that out. And if you have any questions about MusicBox or Guitar Pro, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll answer you guys and try to get back. But go check them out. Tell them that Brian from Chasing Sound sent you, and that would be really cool. Thank you so much, guys, for showing up in the live chat. I really appreciate that. Love talking to you guys. And I will see you soon. All right. Take care.